Hello, Dave and Tim here at the Single Malt Review with something a bit different, a bit special and a bit mysterious.
All of those things combined, Dave. Goodness me, look at all this whiskey. We have been, in a very exciting turn of events, been assigned a mission, Dave. Whether it's a mission impossible or a mission marginally possible or maybe a mission entirely possible remains to be seen. That kind of falls on our tasting acumen, I suppose. Local whiskey hero, Mr. Heiner, had a birthday recently, and he had the best kind of birthday because he had it at our very own, well, not ours, but our very local Whiskey Law. And it was a comparison tasting, past versus the present. What's better, what's changed, what's different? And in the case of many whiskies, a hell of a lot.
So old versus new incarnations of the same
Yes,
brands.
indeed.
Right.
But that's not what we're going to do for this first round. This round is the blind. We are going to test our tasting acumen and see how many of these, what have been described to me as reasonably available. Reasonably available, which narrows the selection down.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a look at the modern examples first. Are they, do we know what they are? Can we pick them out in this police lineup of naughty whiskies we've got here? Just as a sort of a warm-up before we really get sleeves up and into discussion of how popular whiskies have changed over the years. So, without further ado, we are going to have a little snifter here. We're going to taste along, and then all will be revealed. Because we're revealing entire bottles here, not minis, I'm afraid the number one fan out there of the tank art obfuscation is just going to have to keep their powder dry. But I have substituted it with the apron of
Anonymity.
Yeah, there you go. Dave's got it in one. All right, slam dunk. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into whiskey number one.
We have no idea what these are. This entire lineup was set up for us by very
It was. We have one thing to go on, which was these are reasonably available, and which that does inform a wee bit of a pick. Actually, two things inform a pick, one of which I've only just realised, and that all of these boxes are square. But never mind, that's maybe a bit of a cheat, but can't be helped. Now, Dave, for the meta guessing here, which I'm notorious for, come with me to my Mind Palace, which incidentally is also a mid-tier liquor store. And this informs some of my meta picking here, because this is where we find the reasonably available bottles of whiskey. Here is the Glenfiddich. Here is the Glenmorangie. There's probably some Lafroig over here. There might be some Bunnahabhain if it's somewhere really curly. There probably isn't a Glenfarclas. There probably isn't a Kilchoman, you know? Yeah, that's how that's what's informing my reasonably available versus.
If it was Kilchoman, we would be getting gassed by the staggering amounts of amazing, wonderful peat.
We with all these open glasses, it's really starting to. It's got that tasting atmosphere. Okay, anyway, meta picking aside, let's go and
Whiskey
do it its
first.
duty.
It's nice. Honeysuckle, some bourbon cask character.
Peat, this is not. But delicious fruit and honey, heather. Oh, it's strong as well.
It's very sweet. A little bit of a spice, a bit of burn to it. This is familiar. I would hazard that I've tried this or something very similar in the past.
This isn't. I was hoping for whiskies that are like, oh well, this is just this. This is Glenfiddich. This is Lafroig. I'm not as confident on this one, but
I do like it though.
There is a familiarity to this.
Yeah.
It's. Would you say this is? I'd say this has got a foot in Speyside and a foot in the Highlands.
Yeah,
there's quite a lot of floral Highland character.
A bit of Glendronach, but perhaps not as.
I think Glendronach would be soupier. Glendronach would be heavier on the sherry. We also have no idea about the colouring and chill filtration on these whiskies, so we really can't take any of that to heart. But I do taste quite a wee bit of sherry influence on here, which is a bit more of an informer.
It's a bit too rich and spicy for, say, a Glenmurray. But
so you're already getting more granular than I'd be able to pick.
Glenglasser, perhaps somewhere in that direction. So some similarities to this.
This tastes too old.
Okay.
And this is a talk about past versus future. Glenglasser, because it was closed for such a massive gulf of time, we only have very, very young or
very old,
titanically old bottles of Glenglasser. So, though that would be a really interesting get for a past versus present, I don't think we've got it here. Because this being the modern example, ergo the young one, tastes too old. It's too much maturity.
Could even be going a little further afield, say Highland Park.
Highland Park's got that touch of peat.
Yeah.
And this, I just... Like, you're right in that Highland Park does straddle a great many different styles.
Yeah.
It's one I've had huge trouble picking.
Oh, God, my mind is going in directions. Like Jura, Arran, the islands, perhaps?
It's not Jura.
No.
It might be Arran. If it was a round box, I'll tell you this much. If it was a round box, I'd be picking Glenmorangie.
Right.
It's got that big fruit, juicy thing going on, and it's got the maturity. It's a little stronger than I would otherwise imagine, but it could be a 46%. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything too definitive. Do you want to make a call on this one? I'll flick the box. What sound does it make? What does it sound like? Actually, flicking the box is just giving me. It's just made me think of something.
Oh.
I think I flicked that box before. Hang on, Dave.
Right.
You make a proper guess. I'll make a really naughty guess.
Okay. Oh, jeez, we're going to go on. This could be a first. Acoustic whiskey guessing by the sound of the packaging. That sounded a bit too different, but then again, that was echoing.
That's a real heavy box. I think that might be Longhorn.
Right.
But that's heresy. That is heresy. Don't quote me on that. Give me, what's the proper one? Like I say, this tastes like Glenmorangie. It's a very, very juicy kind of a thing. But we cannot spend any longer on this one.
Nope.
What are we thinking?
Let's say it's an older... I'm going to call it an older Arran.
Okay.
Except I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to...
Okay, well, what wins out? Is it going to be the flick? Or is it
So
going to
bring
be...
the box over and we'll unveil it once it's in frame.
It's feeling...
Oh. Okay, what do we
Okay,
have?
here it comes. Actually, you know what, Dave? I think it might be. It is! It surely is! Always trust the flick. Always trust the flick. I'm going to flick every single one of these. Every single one is going to get flicked from now on.
Is in fact our whiskey of
It's
the
on
year
one,
for
yeah.
2022, right?
We should have got that on taste.
Yeah.
That's such a distinctive whiskey.
Ah.
Why does that taste stronger? Because that is strong. That's 50%.
Wow, that explains the extra spicy heat, the spicy kick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's our man. Holy crap. No, 48. That's still quite strong. But I remember that being more kind of buttery. Hey, at least I flicked it.
In my defence, it's been nearly 12 months since I sampled this one, so...
Holy cow. Okay, well, I'm going to say that. That's never going to be repeated again. What an embarrassing way to go.
Yeah.
Dumb. We got that one wrong.
Yep.
We're not starting whiskeyflickers.com. That's not. No, cake sitting only. Keep it pure on the. No. Anyway, all right. That was hilarious, but in an extremely stupid way. So I am both triumphant and embarrassed about that. But there you go. You can't say you can predict him how it's going to go on the single malt review. Good grief. Okay, next one coming up. Stay in your seats, guys. All right, welcome back to The Blind. It's time for the second dram. What could it be? The first one, I'm not going to say we picked it. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen happen on air, and I was the one doing it. So congratulations to everyone who found that amusing.
Yeah.
Silly. I'm still going to flick it, though. I'm going to flick the next one. Imagine if I discovered some science. Imagine if that was all my other whiskey knowledge. Maybe that was all just complete crap, amateurish. But the flick, maybe I was that. Maybe that's...
In our defence, I did feel I tried the first one before.
Dave found some familiarity. And in my defence, I think this might be a different batch because I swear our Longhorn was a bit more... It was a bit more biscuity anyway.
And we didn't add water.
No, we didn't add water. We should have,
changed.
and we will on the next one. Okay, let's hope for a bit more professionalism out of everybody involved next time for whiskey number 2. What have we got?
Ooh, lighter nose.
Another one with no peat. I was hoping for peated ones because that's kind of the bonus round of guessing. That makes it, if you're constrained to the peat ghetto, then it's so many less distilleries to choose from. But no, this is just one of the hundreds. But never mind. Again, this is very, very fruity. But there's a...
Ooh, that's a lighter body.
Yeah, is there a flinty, is there a stony, almost a slightly coaly edge to this one?
I think so. There could even.
There's a lot of richness, though. It's very, very... Again, it's fruity in quite the same way the other one was. I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to put water in this time.
It's not a super high strength. I think it's quite mild on the
This
tongue.
one seems a bit more conventional. The other one was conspicuously strong, and it was. We got that bit right, at least.
We're down into 43, possibly even 40% territory, I think.
Chill filtration, I think yes. I think yes on the chill filtration.
Oh, no, I'm racked with self-doubt and second-guessing after our first ram.
Well, we'll just have to keep batching in mind. Keep in mind that even in the modern day, comparing modern for modern, if it's something, if it's a craft release, if it's small, batch variation comes in hugely, whether it should or not.
That lightness of body and lack of a spicy alcohol burn is putting me in mind of Glenmurray. The few I've had have been comparatively mild in strength and mild in flavour and intensity.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. I just figured out the whiskey you meant, because it's the one that, even in my mind, I call erroneously Glenmoray, because that's how it's
spelled. Yeah.
And so I mentally call that one Glenmoray for years before I actually heard it spoken aloud and was otherwise corrected. Not that it was incorrect, mentally doing the phonetics and calling it Glenmoray. They should have spelled it differently, just like all the other Scottish words, which is a very English thing to say, but never mind. I don't know much about Glenmurray. You're sort of the resident Glenmurray expert. I'm thinking a wee bit of a Benromic.
Okay.
I'm thinking a bit of a Benromic, because that's a whiskey with a very storied history as well. Yeah. That's one that has had a very big shift into a new old style. It embraced not highly peated for a Speyside style. It sort of re-embraced its peat in its modern iteration, and then the very, very old ones until you get to catastrophically old ones. This was another one that had a bit of a gulf in production, although not a large one. Although don't ask me exactly what years were omitted. I just know that there was one there, and there's been a modern sort of retelling of that whiskey, and it's gotten a bit more peat. So that might be my best bet for what this is. It's not quite right. That's Benromic 10 is way sootier, but I know there's a Benromic 15, and I've tasted that and thought, the peat's way less evident on this one. So I think Benromic is all I got for this one.
Yeah, I've tried a few Benromics in my time, and I don't remember them too well, but I think I would hopefully be able to guess if it is or not. Only other options are, say, Anok. Have Anok been around long enough to be 1990s expressions?
Anok.
Yeah.
Just going by all distilleries are pretty ancient by default. Yes, probably. So those are probably both valid picks. I'm gonna lock in Benromic.
Okay, I'm gonna go for Glenmurray, roughly a 10-year-old.
Got a Glenmurray but we have to do the real science.
Yes. Flick the box.
That's thin cardboard, which tells me way less, because that's how all whiskey is made. Okay, so science over. Let's get real. Let's see what we got. Bum, bum, bum. Get the tails back in here. There's Glen Elgin.
Oh, that's 12. It's still in Speyside. We're close on the region and the age.
I don't
That's a start.
know much about Glen Elgin at all. 43%.
Yeah.
High... No, Speyside. It says it right there, obviously. Well, I guess it is one that's been going for ages, because we've got a historic one in the pipe coming up. Interesting. Not one I think we were ever going to get on that case, without getting extremely lucky, but never mind. That will be very interesting to compare later on in the second vid. So, onwards and upwards. It's time for number 3. Right, welcome back to The Blind. It's time for dram number 3. Can we get back on track here? Let's do some proper whiskey science. So, these all look pretty fundamentally similar. We haven't really commented on colour, because we don't know if they are coloured, so we just fundamentally can't trust it.
They'll be quite close in hue.
But yeah, they all pretty much, you'd say that's pretty well whiskey coloured right there. So, let's see what we got.
Oh, that's got some distinct leathery, tobacco-y. Oh,
that smells quite
waxy
old.
notes.
It smells super gentle too. I don't think this is particularly strong at all. It seems to be like we're on a downward slide for ABV.
That's an impressive, polished saddle leather aroma.
That is pretty. That's pretty delicate, isn't it?
That's
you call this a nuanced aroma. There's quite a lot going on here. There's quite a lot of subtlety as well. There's not so much a whole lot of fruit as there is really nice barley notes coming through. The malt is really well expressed here, and cask character super subtle. I think there's a thread of peat, but everything's so well integrated. It's quite hard to tease it out from the rest of the flavour. All right, on the palate. Okay, there's more peat in there.
There's a bit of peat. There's rich old beeswax. All leveriness. Not for the peat though normally, isn't it? Bunnahabhain's almost entirely unpeated.
Unless you get the heavily peated, then it is very lightly peated.
There's a hint of tobacco, pipe tobacco even, maybe smoke.
This is real delicious.
Yeah.
This is a really like these have been scrummy drams. No, do not take them to be besmirched.
Yeah.
This is a real thinker. This is a real beard comber of a dram here. You could and probably should take one's time with this.
Leaving some seriously greasy streaks in the glass. So that's there's some.
But that
some
said, I
volatiles
don't think it's very strong. This tastes very, very close to 40%.
Yeah. What's reminding me of is sort of like a less peaty Bowmore. That kind of rich tobacco and leather is what I think of a Bowmore, but then they tend to be quite.
That's an easy elimination because there ain't no such thing as a less peaty Bowmore.
Exactly.
This is actually. I talk about the Isla bonus round. This is a bonus round of its own because these mid-peated examples are pretty rare, and I'm trying to winnow through the ones we've got.
Well, I can see the box. It is rectilinear. It is wider and it is deep, which makes me think of the likes of Jura.
Well, you know me. I have to tap it to know, but Jura's a good pick. Jura's a good pick.
They do interesting mixes of peating levels and.
Actually, Jura's a really good pick. Yeah, I was thinking like Bunnahabhain, but as you say, there's not.
The box is not square enough.
Oh, okay. You better eye for boxes than
I know.
From
the top, a Bunnahabhain box is a perfect square.
But there's a pungency to Bunnahabhain as well that doesn't really exist. Or Dave's executing the science, he's doing the tap. All right, other meat examples. There's Tobermory. Tobermory is more round. Tobermory's got more of a savoury, and it's got more of a funk. Tobermory is a funky whiskey. This is not a funky whiskey. This is a precise whiskey.
I've had a mental blank. The other one from Lishig's distillery.
That's Tobermory.
Tobermory is cool. Okay.
Yeah, those are the two. The Mull brothers coming up in there. Mid-peated. There's Brooklady, but then again, like Bunnahabhain, the divide between all of the peat and very little is so stark. I don't think Scotia makes the Victoriana and whatnot.
Glen Scotia, yeah.
Yes, they do their 15 and 12 is quite nuanced with that little mid-peat. There is Highland Park. That's another one that does mid-peat, but I think there's maybe a little too much in here. I remember Highland Park being like almost a shrug of peat, like almost bugger all, like Crag and Moor levels of barely there peat. But it's been a long time since I tried it. Talk about modern and historic bottlings. Ever since bloody Jim Murray slapped World Whisky of the Year on Highland Park 12, best brown spirit or whatever, the thing went into bloody orbit and no one's been able to afford it ever since. But thus, my tasting on that one is limited, but I think I've got a foot in both of those camps.
Right.
I think Glen Scotia, and I think I'm leaning a little closer to that, and then something like a Highland Park. A Highland Park, have we missed any? It's not Tobermory, confident. It's not Brooklady. I don't think it's Bunnahabhain.
Loch Lomond.
No, Loch Lomond's got that medical weirdness. Yeah. That's not weird enough for Loch Lomond. This is too normo for Loch Lomond.
I was more thinking of ones that
this whiskey doesn't have weird piercings and a mohawk to be Loch Lomond.
No, I'm honestly slightly stumped. I'm tempted just to stick with my initial guess of Jura, just for sake of having a guess.
You do Jura, I'll do Glen Scotia, and we'll see what we get. This one's on your side. Today's going to do the grand reveal.
Oh, golly.
I'm just going to trust Dave's flick here and that it was inconclusive.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's tangled up. All right, he's got it. He's going to get the danglies. And the apron of anonymity is about to leave us. And what does it leave? Highland Park. Highland Park 12. The whiskey.
Viking honour.
Indeed. I should have gone the other way. And yeah, 40% and chill filtered. Boom, boom on those two.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have used those as more of a leader. Interesting. Like I say, I haven't been able to afford Highland Park in donkey's years. Viking honour.
We looked at Highland Park. I think it was 12 last year. We did a mini
read a very silly back of the bottle description on a Highland Park, and I forget exactly.
It was hand distilled by Vikings after Ragnarok.
Something. Yeah, they've gone very Viking recently, which I guess I'll allow it given the state of Orkney. But interesting. I think We probably should have got that, but
Yeah.
I will say we have a bit of an out in that 9 of us are particularly Highland Parky people. But I think at least it came up. It came up, right?
Yeah, we...
It was on the shortlist. Yeah,
evaluated
it was on the
it,
shortlist.
yes.
So I'll give us 1/17 of a
Yeah.
point for that one. Lovely whiskey though. This is
yeah.
a surprise. I maybe am guilty of giving Highland Park a bit of a short shrift, or at least maybe I've been tasting the no age statement.
We have had
editions.
that truly incredible independently bottled Highland Park some years ago. It was an event exclusive, and it was amazing. One of the best whiskies I've ever had.
I think this might be my favourite of the mix so far,
Interesting.
even with the chill filtration and the 40%. I think this is a really, really well blended whiskey.
Right.
Just the convergence of all of these different flavours here and the way they meet, the poise and precision here there really is. Hats off to the blending going into here. This is a tremendous old whiskey. All right.
Brilliant.
All right.
One
Oh, well,
left.
it's time for the final whiskey. Can we end with a bang? We'll see. We'll see.
Welcome back to Blind Tasting. It is the final dram. We are 3 for 3 so far on not guessing them. Can we manage 1 out of 4?
We'll find out. Although Dave is disrespecting the flicker science, which is definitely real, and the Earth is definitely flat. Let's see what we've got now. Dave hinted off camera here that he could smell an inkling of peat just coming out the table. So this might be the peated bonus round, and it is.
We got some vapors.
Ooh, okay. This is a fully peated whiskey.
Yes.
Again, unhelpful with the colour. They're all exactly the same
It's not
bloody colour.
staggering novelty levels of peat, but it's a hearty
no.
peat.
Optimore,
Yeah.
this is not.
No.
But in the in the Isla spectrum, it is, and that's what the peat's reminding me of as well. There's a tang to this whiskey. There's a lot of tang to this whiskey.
Oh, dang, that is heavier on the peat. Yeah. Oh, this is another case of, I'm pretty sure I've had this very whiskey before, but I can't, out of the many hundreds, I can't quite place which of the many
I think
I've
it's
tried.
Talisker.
Okay.
I think I've got I've slipping down the cliff. I've found a proper foothold. I think this is Talisker. And we have tasted this not once but 3 times I think this year, or maybe last year, because it came up in the calendar.
Yeah.
So I guess that was technically last year, but I think it also came up in a tasting set. And I'm not even sure if we tasted it because it was redundant. We might have flicked it out and just
scored it before, so
and just someone drank that at home. But I'm never going to say I'm 100%, but I'm very, very close on Talisker. Talisker, it's got the tang. It's got it's not quite sour. It's not quite actual like sour citrus, but there's a real sharpness to the flavour, and it doesn't have the grime. It doesn't have the filth of Isla. There's a slightly more pure note to Talisker, and someone better would be able to tell you about the actual the malt character coming through. I can really only tell you about the peat, which is it's a very tangy, very sort of snappy, like imagine a rubber band snapping across the tongue, which would probably just hurt. But if you sort of convert that into a flavour, it's a very sort of mobile and dynamic. That's the name. It's always moving on the tongue. It doesn't have that sooty, oily or smoky bacon or very, very iodine-y, stony peat that you can ascribe to the sort of the big Islas, your Lafroigs and your Lagavulins and so on. And that is all the way Talisker for me.
Playing the meta game and looking at the box under its apron of anonymity, I see it as tall. I see it as perfectly square, which to me, it's a Talisker. I believe their boxes are tall and square. But also, I'm put in mind of...
I know they're tall.
I believe they're very symmetrical and square profile like that one. Oban. I haven't had an Oban since before this channel began. Are they at all peated? Because again, similar, a fairly
well,
slender box.
they have peat in them, but it's such
Not
an
to this level,
afterthought.
okay.
Yeah. Oban from the classic malts range, famously, is I think one of the most boring whiskies in Scotland. Some people love Oban, and I'll bet there's really interesting Oban out there. I think Oban is boring because it only exists in one form, which is the classic malts one. It's never a different age statement. It's never a different strength. It's never. I guess you can get distillers editions. Yada yada. No, this is way too interesting and way too peaty. Oban is a very, very, very light on the peat. But I a little bit get where you're coming from. But no, I am not moving from Talisker. I think this is Talisker all the way down.
Let's see what we have.
Bum, bum, bum. Yes,
Aha,
it's
Talisker 10.
Talisker.
Excellent.
Oh, look at that. That's an even more modern box than I've seen. They have zhuzhed that
It
recently.
is some pretty packaging. Yeah.
They have zhuzhed that significantly.
It's made
Right.
by the sea, apparently, not by humans, but the ocean
good.
itself is getting on
Oh,
board.
that must be cheap.
Yeah.
Okay. At least we know where we are with Talisker. I'm glad we've got a little bit of proper science to back us up. This one, I'm really excited to try the old version because I've only tasted super modern Talisker. I don't think I even touched Talisker until we started, until we were maybe several years into the channel. Talisker was just this weird blind spot. It's not something I ever thought about. It's not something I ever encountered.
I'm certain I had Talisker in the late 2000s or early 2010s, but trying to remember something like that.
What I will say, though, is for a 10-year-old whiskey, they went a bit overboard on the colouring. Look at this. This is a bit... Yeah, it's a bit... That's a bit sus there. They probably could have wound
It
that
has
back.
been artificially coloured, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's really the only knock against it. Otherwise, this is as the science is borne out. This is Talisker, and you can see it coming. It is its own quite.
It is
distinct
a
flavour.
legendary dram for a reason.
And it's pretty good. Did it used to be better? We'll find out. That's what the real meat of this. This is just us looking silly. This stuff here doing the blinds. No, the real science is yet to come. So please stick around for that one. That'll be the next video coming up right around the corner as we storm into it. So I hope this was of some use to somebody out there. I hope Heine found it entertaining, at very least, watching us stumble through this rather sumptuous selection of whiskies.
Thank you again for making this possible. This is a stunning lineup of frankly iconic whiskies.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it'll be amazing to get to try them both, old versus new incarnations.
Yeah, I can only hope we do the comparison at justice. So we'll say that's the end of the video. Here's a footnote on the end of the video, which I will refer people to in the future. This is rare community content from us. If you are overseas, please do not suggest sending us open bottles. I only touch open bottles from people I know because we just cannot be sure of what is in it. So receiving samples from producers, that's A-OK.
Yeah.
Similarly, commercially sealed stuff. But as much as we would like to, and as much as I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there with some really, really stunning stuff they would like us to try, we simply can't do it if it's been opened. It's just not safe.
Yeah.
The idiosyncrasies of trying to send booze through the mail displayed. And goodness me, we've had some adventures there. It's the time we almost became the Christchurch booze barons. Anyway, that's a story for another day. But yeah, we are going to see some community content around the Christmas period this year, and so please enjoy it. But yeah, if I don't know you, then we probably can't touch what you've got if it's not sealed. So keep that in mind. But anyway, just a PSA there to the community: we love you, we don't trust you. Only because you're on the internet. No one should trust the internet. It's a fool's game. All right, Slanger, thank you very much. We will be back very, very soon with these comparisons, and that's where the science should really, really catch fire.